We can all join hands. It's not brain surgery, people. You should be able to relax. No, you just totally excluded him. Look, okay, I'll arrange. All right, can we all please close our eyes and take 6 very slow, deep, relaxing breaths. With every exhale, we let go all the tension from our body and our mind. And with every inhale, we pull in more light and more peace and more love. We breathe all the way down through our bodies. Let go of all the tension, anything that we don't want to reside within us. We find a place within our body that is the most peaceful. And we allow our awareness of this place of peace to expand and to grow until it is all that we can experience. We invite into this space the presence of our Divine Mother and Father before us, who are still with us in spirit. We ask that we be led upon the way to perfection, that we will be led into our own personal curriculum, our problems, and how to solve them so that we will grow to be more effective and more happy, more loving, and more perfect human beings. Thank you very much. Together we all say, blessed be. All right, so it's good to see y'all, and the air conditioning is on, and it's actually cooling down, and those of you who just came in don't know that, but we were turning brown. Okay, tonight I'd like to talk about faith. And faith is a very funny thing when coming from the point of view of the craft, because so many of us have come to the craft at the expense of some other religious experience. Oftentimes, the reason why people search in an alternative religious direction, turn to alternative religions and spiritualities, oftentimes, not always, one of the main reasons for that, for many of us, is because of the different kinds of religious abuse that we experienced in our past. And sometimes this is true whether or not we acknowledge this to ourselves. And so sometimes the word faith is kind of a dirty word for us, and we don't realize that either. Because faith... Oh, I thought you were doing this. I thought you were trying to get my attention. You were being thoughtful and contemplative. Excuse me. I would be a horrible auctioneer. It would all be sold, and nobody would have ever bid. So the problem is that faith is misinterpreted and misunderstood from a craft perspective oftentimes. What this is, the idea of faith is that often we are led in our upbringings that to be a faithful person means to believe in something that may or may not be true. Right? But, bless you, but until you know God, your belief is limiting your experience of that which you're trying to believe. Does that make sense? Because if we know that it's true, it's based in fact, and it's real for us. And then it has reality, it has power, it has definition, and it is part of our spiritual fabric. It is just something that is. If it is belief and we don't know whether it's true or not, then it's like building your house on sand. There's no precedent for it in your life. Does that make sense? Okay, just the difference between knowledge and belief. Just not do you believe it, but does it make sense what I'm saying? Okay. So, in regards to faith, faith can either be based on belief or it can be based on knowledge. And you can figure out for yourself which one is powerful, right? Faith is having certainty that something is true, whether or not you can sense it with your 5 physical senses. Okay, we have faith that the sun will come up tomorrow at nighttime, even though we cannot see the sun. But our faith in the sun coming up tomorrow is based on knowledge, not on belief, because we know that the sun comes up every single day. Therefore, we can predict very accurately the way of the sun coming up in the morning, even though we know that the sun doesn't really move, that it doesn't really come up. It's just an illusion, right? So, when it comes to magic, one of your strongest ingredients is faith, right? You are doing a spell for a new job, let's say, and you have done all the right magic things magically. You've done your relaxation, you've done your work, you've done your visualization, and you've treated it exactly the way it needs to be treated from a craft perspective. And then you go out and you do all the things that you're supposed to do, i.e. send out your resume and fill out your applications and go on your interviews. And still you do not have the job. What you need to have is the faith that it is so, that you have the job in the mental world. Therefore, it's just a matter of time before it manifests in the physical world. That faith needs to be tended like a very delicate, fragile plant at first especially. That's when we say in magic, it's not wise for us to make giant leaps of faith into arenas where we don't have knowledge to back it up. Does that make sense? If you are doing a spell for $1 million lottery and you've never won a peanut in your life, and you've never seen $5,000, so you have no concept of $1 million, let alone winning a contest, that would probably not be your wisest spell, because that faith that you are having about it working is based on belief rather than knowledge. Does that make sense? It's going to detract your success. It's not going to contribute to your succeeding. What we need to do in the case of the belief systems is recognize what they are. Our belief systems are parasitic by nature. Belief systems, all belief systems, there's no such thing as a healthy belief system. Just sit down wherever you like. Yeah, and if he starts crying, you can just take him in the other room or something. Yeah, no problem. Belief systems are parasitic by nature. There is no such thing as a good belief. There is no such thing as a healthy belief. Okay? Even if you believe in something good, even if you believe in God, even if you believe in Jesus, even if you believe in the craft, or you believe in anything, if you believe in love, all of those beliefs are evil because they're beliefs. Because a belief is something that is not based in fact. and therefore it is not true for you. And as long as it is a belief, it is hindering you from experiencing the actuality of that which you are trying to achieve through the belief in the first place. You believe in love. Therefore, you're limiting your experience of love because you're limiting it by having a belief. A belief, by definition, is based in fear and based in tension. If you want to know whether something is a belief or knowledge, find out how much tension is involved in holding on to that thought. Okay? Your beliefs have their own personality. They have their own survival instinct. A lot of people call this collection of beliefs the ego work. I'm okay. I can drink. Therefore, I can drink this morning. I'm okay. I can drink. Therefore, I'm not an alcoholic because I only drink every other day. Whatever. All of those little beliefs are still in this core belief system called, I'm okay. I can drink. Or whatever. Okay? So, the alcoholic then gets to this point where everything falls apart and their belief system is looked at honestly. And they go, BS. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And not only am I not okay, I need help. Can't do this. Can't do this. Everything's ruined. All of a sudden, their belief system is shattered, and from that day forward, they've got success in an area that they've never had success in their whole life. Right? It takes it's a process. It's a journey. It's a journey, and it's not going to necessarily see immediate results in all areas of their life that day because they destroyed that belief system. However, the same is true for us here in the craft. And we get a little bit funny about this at times, and we make jokes about it and things like that, but what I'm about to talk about regarding beliefs, but it is very true, and I want to look at this following phenomenon and see if we can maybe shed some light on it. So, the phenomenon of which I'm speaking is the idea that we are on the path to perfection, and what we do here is we recognize that when we invite God, as we call it, or the Father, or the Spirit, or the Goddess, or whatever we want to call it, into our lives, when we say yes to the craft, and we say, I'm on the path to perfection, and what we are saying is, I want to speed up my process. In so doing, when you invite God into your life and you say, yes, I embrace the path, I embrace the way to perfection, God says, thank you. And all hell breaks loose for most of us. Until some later date, which has not been determined yet. Right? But especially in that first year, you get a little bit more of a handle on navigation. But it's sort of like you've always been walking, and all of a sudden you say, I want to learn how to fly, and we say, okay, come on, we'll teach you. And then you've always got somebody there co-piloting and helping you, but that doesn't mean that it's a whole different bag of potatoes than walking, okay? So, what is this? What happens? You ask for perfection quickly, and you get it, okay? And so what happens is it seems as though your life falls apart. Doesn't it? For a lot of us? On a lot of levels, but on so many other levels, it seems like your life just started, right? I mean, otherwise, unless we were totally screwed up and masochistic, we would quit, right? And we may still be, I don't know, but what this phenomenon is, what you learn later down the road through experience, through knowledge, rather than through belief, is that the reason why the phenomenon looks as though your life falls apart is because you get really clear that it was never together to begin with. It was chewing gum and Scotch tape and maybe a little saliva at most, holding it together. And you know what? The it that you're trying to hold together is your belief systems, is your lies about who you are and how the world works and what your priorities are, because if otherwise you wouldn't need to hold it together, because you know the secret of the universe is it's together. It's working. It is. The secret of the universe is it's already perfect. The problem is, which we discussed in greater detail last month, is that we get our little grubby hands on it and we think we can fix what's perfect and we can make it better. Right? I mean, how many people are really good here at making a cake from scratch? Really good. I mean, masterful at it. Okay? How many people are really, and then how many people are also really masterful at auto mechanics, at keeping your car running smooth without taking it to a mechanic? Okay? And how many people here are really, really good at keeping your house spotless? And how many people are really, really good at ironing with heavy starch? Okay? And how many of us here are really good at algebra? And how many of us here are really, really good at grammar, English grammar and punctuation? Okay, and how many of us here are really good at every single thing that I just mentioned? That's not very much to ask for, but you think that you can run your life? Right? You can't do those few simple little things, but you can run the most complex structure that's ever been invented in the history of the universe as we know it, called human life? No, you can't, and neither can I. Because the problem is, we thought we had to. We thought it was our responsibility to make our lives work. Our lives are working, and to the extent that they're not working is where we're interfering with them. If you can't even clean your house, don't expect to be able to run your life. Okay? But there is a power greater than your little mind that knows how to run your life. It knows how to run your money. It knows how to run your relationships. It knows how to run your car. It knows how to run all of it. Your business, your craft, your friendships, all of it. It knows how to heal your neuroses. It knows how to do all of that. Okay? And that's what that year and a day often is all about, is I think I can do this. But really, the truth is, I can't do anything. Of myself, I can do nothing. Do you know what I'm saying? By myself, I am powerless. In the landmarks, it says to remind us, it was talking directly to the priesthood, but this applies to everybody, that remember, the power doesn't come from you. The power comes through you. Okay, you did not create yourself. You are not the author of your existence. Therefore, you have no authority over it. Author, authority, same root word. Got it? The authority is somebody bigger than you. And your job is to be happy. And you cannot be happy unless you are contributing to the happiness of others. So, in order to contribute to the happiness of others, you've got to remember, we all have to remember, you can't give something you don't have. You can't give love if you don't have love. You can't give happiness if you're unhappy. You can't find any of those things while you're clinging to your belief systems. Because your belief systems are out to annihilate your happiness. Because if you're happy, then they have to know that they're dead. Right? That we've said here before, I don't remember when, that your belief systems don't want you to be too happy, because then they know that they have no function. They don't want you to be too miserable either, just because they know what happens to the alcoholics. If you're too miserable, you'll give up all hope, and you'll understand that they aren't powerful either, and you'll get better. So your belief systems are there to keep you in just a real mild state of misery. Okay? Constant mild state of misery. Have you ever noticed that you're always just a little sick or a little happy? You know, and if you're absolutely ecstatically joyful, you know there's some shit on its way soon. Right? That's the basic power of belief systems, is they are mortal in form. Mortal means that it's got a beginning, a middle, and an end. Okay, that old idea that this too shall pass, is addressing every mortal experience, because every mortal experience by definition is on its way out. Every mortal experience is subject to death. We don't dwell in mortality. We don't dwell in the mortal world. We dwell in the mental world. This mortal coil, this mortal existence, is an illusion, is something that is here to act as a temporary schoolhouse for our learning and our perfection. Okay? The problem is that our mortal experience is we relate to it. We relate to our mortal experience as if it was who we are. So we start to experience our minds as mortal entities, and that's when belief systems start to come in, is the mind trying to be mortal. The mind trying to give you something that is subject to death. Your ideas are eternal. Your ideas are not subject to death unless you decide to annihilate them, right? But a true, real, honest idea is unassailable. You can't annihilate it. You can't kill it. You cannot make what is true untrue just by hiding from it. And that's what a belief system is. A belief system is saying, well, that's not really true, but I don't want to dwell there, so I'm just going to fake it. I'm going to deny the existence of whatever it is. So when we're talking about faith, you've got to remember there's no such thing as being faithless. There is no such thing as being faithless. You have faith in something. You either have faith in the IRS or you have faith in your prosperity, right? You either have faith in what Newsweek tells you is beautiful, or what Vogue tells you is beautiful, or you have faith that you were created beautiful too, and that it's all a matter of who's judging it in relative to what. Does that make sense? A lot of us, okay, well, we're going to have faith that in the sitcom formula, that if all of our troubles don't get figured out in 30 minutes with a laugh track, then there's something wrong with us. Okay? We also have this belief system that says that smoking is glamorous, or that in order to have happiness and peace with money, you have to work hard for 65 years and have a good retirement fund and be so tired that you can't enjoy it. Those are belief systems. And we don't question things like that. We just don't question it. We just swallow it like a big, ugly, evil pill. And we carry it around stuck in our throat our whole lifetime. Now, I know that most of us here don't fall into these categories of having belief systems, and that we're all ascended masters just sort of condescending to discuss such a subject. But let's take an honest look for a moment at some of our core belief systems. Does everybody have a piece of paper, or could they borrow one, and a pen? And can we do it kind of quickly? Okay, get a clean sheet of paper, or at least a very clean section of a piece of paper. On the top of the paper, I'd like you to write, the problem with me is, and just complete the sentence. The first sentence, the first thought that comes to your mind, and then the next thought, and then the next thought, and just fill up the page or until I tell you to stop. The problem with me is, and just keep going, and don't edit, just stream of consciousness, just regurgitation on it. List, now, read over it, and which is the thing about, what is the one thing on your list that you really don't like the most? The thing that gives you the most energy when you read it, the thing that really gives you the most feedback in your body, the thing that really is your least favorite thing to look at, that you don't really want to know about yourself, that you don't want to address. Okay, and put a check by it. Nobody's going to see these. All right. Is there one courageous individual that might just yell out what their thing is? Okay, go ahead. Let me hear. We'll have them all. Yeah, you're too thin. Okay. Okay, you don't follow through. Anybody? I'm disorganized. You're easily swayed by the last person who speaks to you. Okay? Anybody else? Yeah? Go ahead. You don't get up early enough, okay? You're not responsible for yourself, okay? You don't love enough. You don't love enough. Interesting. Okay, these are all good. Yeah? I give in to my fears and I don't ask for the help I need. Okay. So, take that, draw a line under your list and take that one thing, and you're going to make a new sentence now in this new section of your paper, and it's the reason I, and then you just regurgitate that, whatever that thing was. So if it was the reason I don't love enough, the reason I'm not responsible enough, the reason I do whatever that thing is, and then find out what the first thing that comes to your mind is. Okay? And I don't need a big long list this time. Just the first response is fine. Anybody want to yell out one, or did not anybody not get that? Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Can you make a complete sentence though? I'm afraid I'll fail. Okay. Okay. Write that down. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, good. Everybody has their next one? Does everybody have that one? Yeah? Okay, draw a line. The reason I blank is, the reason I stay up too late, the reason I'm afraid of failure is, the reason I give my power to others is, the reason, whatever it is. What do we get? Anybody want to? Now that we're getting down to the real truth, nobody wants to speak. Yeah. Okay, the reason I'm bored is, and do that process. Okay, anybody else? Okay. I won't be, the reason I'm afraid I won't be good enough is, and do that one. Do that. Anybody else? You're afraid you'll fail? Okay. The reason I'm afraid I'll fail is, does everybody see what I'm doing here? Getting to stop lying to ourselves that these are the problems. These have nothing to do with our problems. Did you get to a core belief? Okay, but the reason why I don't like my weight is, how about that? Anybody else want to share anything? We are all capable of keeping our mouths shut, I suspect. Yeah? Yeah. Please do. Did everybody get a little deeper on there? If you don't have something called I'm bad, I'm evil, I suck, I'm not good enough, I'm worthless, I'm pond scum, you don't have a core belief, right? But your way of putting it into words, your particular little slant on that thing is what you need to find out. So you need to ask yourself the question. Ask yourself the question. That is where your belief system lives. Okay? Mine is, I hurt people. I hurt people. That's what I believe. And so what you do, you have two different ways of handling this. Is you go and hurt people, or you go and actively not hurt people. You go and be Mr. Codependent, which is, I'm very good at that. And my lesson in this lifetime is to address that core belief system and have a balanced way of handling it so that I work through it and realize that I never hurt anybody. I'm just fine the way I am. And I don't need to either hurt people nor placate them in order to feel good enough. Right? That's a big lesson for me in this lifetime. That's a major part of the digging through the mountain for me. And whatever belief system you're addressing here is a major part of the digging through the mountain for you on your path to perfection. And by the way, just because you're on the path, just because you're on the way to perfection, doesn't give you special license. It's not enough to have signed up, right? And then all of a sudden you can just kind of do whatever you want because you're on the way. You know, you have to really work this path. You have to really follow the path. It's really easy to get off the track, to get off the path. It's a very narrow road. And everybody's road looks so different from everybody else's. You cannot determine whether you're on the path by comparing yourself to other people. You can't do that. Because my process is so different from your process. If I'm trying to make sure that in order for me to be on the path, I have to look like you, all of a sudden I've got a belief system going that says, my path needs to look like everybody else's path, or my path isn't valid, therefore I have to follow somebody else's path. You need to find your path. And there's one way, there's only one way to perfection, but every single person is on a different section of that road. You know what I'm saying? We all have bodies, and they're what our bodies are like these incredible 5 senses communication devices. They're like these amazing virtual walkie-talkies so that we can communicate with each other. But we cannot get close to each other because we are on different paths, right? We're totally on different paths. Okay, there's a dichotomy that we need to really address here. You've got to walk the path alone. Nobody can do it for you. Remember that song, Lonesome Valley, right? It's a true song. You've got to walk that lonesome valley by yourself because nobody can learn your lessons for you. Nobody can go through the initiation for you. You are in the womb alone, unless you're a twin. But even so, you come down that birth canal one at a time, and your process is unique, right? Your process is unique, and you're alone. And you have brothers and sisters and guides and teachers and helpers to guide you, to midwife you through the process, but they cannot do it for you, right? So, The thing that is most important for us to remember when dealing with faith is to remember two things. First of all, there is no such thing as a faithless person. You always have faith in something. You either have faith in, if you're going to use a real Christian concept, you've either got faith in God or you've got faith in Satan. The way we would reinterpret that to make it more palatable for us is you either have faith in knowledge or you have faith in belief. You either have faith in truth or you have faith in lies. You are either having faith in love or you have faith in fear or tension. You cannot do both. It is impossible to walk the roads both ways. It's like trying to drive. Officer, why did you stop me? It's a one-way street, but I was only going one way. Yeah, and you can't go two ways. It's impossible. So you got to figure it out. Where does your faith lie? Because it lies somewhere. And it's not an event. It's a process. It's a moment-by-moment choice that you make. Where is your faith? Okay? We talked about this last month, that the only way to find that faith is through daily meditation. Daily meditation. Not like, oh yeah, I better meditate. I should do my monthly 20-minute marathon, or whatever. Every day for at least 20 minutes. Give yourself a half hour. How long do you watch TV? How long do you hang out somewhere? How long do you spend at work? How long do you spend in bed sleeping? How long do you spend doing all these other things? When the most important thing that you've got to do, which is to align yourself with the truth and what your process is and where you're going and where your faith lies and what your beliefs are and what your knowledge is and blah, 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 is your meditation process. And we just kind of can't schedule that in for some reason, right? That's really backwards thinking. And you know what's running that show? Your belief system. Because your belief system knows that if you're meditating every day, the jig would be up. So your belief system is going to find every possible reason for you not to meditate. And until you have the discipline to say, excuse me, thank you so much for sharing. However, I'm going to just sit here and relax. And for probably 6 months or so, until you get used to doing it every night, your whole meditation experience that day is going to be all about going, shut up. Please shut up to your mind. And that's fine. That's fine. Because you get a sense of what's running you. What's running your show. Because just a real quick recap of basic craft metaphysics is that the mortal world and your experience in the mortal world is a direct reflection of your thinking. And everything is thought. There is nothing in the universe that is not thought. Thought is what is. Thought is the only fabric of experience. And the mortal world gives you a way, a method by which to know what is being thought, because thought is invisible. Thought has no substance. It has no form in and of itself. It is esoteric, right? Meaning it cannot be seen. It cannot be known. So the mortal world is there to reflect back to you that which you are thinking. You want to know what you believe? What does your life look like? That's what you believe. And if it's negative, you haven't bothered to question it. If you like it, you obviously questioned it. Because you know what? Nobody that I know of came out of the womb happy and blissful. It all sucked for all of us in that birth room. You came out, and some of us had it harder than others, but maybe very, very few of us were real pleased to come out and into this. But we asked for it. We asked to be born. And why did we ask to be born? Because we knew we weren't perfect yet. And we knew we needed to learn. So just like you didn't like to get up in the morning to go to school, right? Did anybody ever experience that when you were a kid? I don't want to go to school. But you had to. You got to go to school. You have to be born. You have to come into this world. But the problem is when you came into the world, you decided that the world was bad because it was painful and it was bad. And then when you grew up in this belief system by your parents and your teachers and your friends and your everyone and your spouses later on, right? That the world is hard and everybody's got to die and you got to pay your taxes and it sucks and all of it's bad and you just got to grin and bear it and all of this stuff. And have you ever noticed that the only thing that's enjoyable is bad for you? Have you noticed that? Coffee is bad for you. Cigarettes is bad for you. Alcohol is bad for you. Chocolate is bad for you. Sugar is bad for you. White flour is bad for you. The only thing that's good for you is breathing and eating grains. You know what I'm saying? And nobody likes to do that. Why is that? Because the world, the mortal world, has been built by our belief system that the world is hard and painful. Because otherwise we would naturally be attracted to the things that were good for us. Right? But we've got this core belief system that the world is painful and that the world is bad and that everything pleasurable has price attached to it. That's a belief system. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that if you get rid of your belief systems that chocolate cake will be nutritious. I'm saying that if you get rid of your belief systems, your dysfunctional thought pattern regarding chocolate will probably be annihilated. And you will either not need it for the wrong reasons, or you'll be able to enjoy it in the right ways. Does that make sense? Yeah, everybody wants to smoke now. So that's the first thing. The first thing is to realize that there is no such thing as a faithless person. The second thing is to realize that faith is either based on belief or based on knowledge. And until you know God, God does not want you to believe in Him, her, them, it. God does not want your belief. God wants you to know. God does not want you to sit and hope that He exists. He wants you to come in and say hi. The only doorway that will be open to you is in your mind, and that mind is the same mind that's connected to God. Okay? Any questions? Is there? Yeah. Oh, that was a scratch. That was not a question. Is there anybody for whom, and I'd like you to be honest, for whom this just doesn't gel? This just doesn't seem right, or they don't get it, or it doesn't seem to apply, or they don't believe it. No? Okay, so our assignment for this month is to address these belief systems and to think of creative and fun ways to flip them around. We have a saying called "saying ain't doing" in the craft. Saying ain't doing means you get down and dirty with yourself, and as soon as you handle this core belief, you call me, and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, this is your only esoteric work that you have to do in this lifetime, is look at this belief in all of its manifestations. Okay, and once you've got that handled, look at the one underneath it. Once you've got that handled, look at the one underneath it. Once you get to the center of the onion, you're there, and then your job is to help everybody else.
Thanks for tuning in. I hope to hear from you soon. Don't forget to email us and visit our website at thedcw.org. Blessed be.